Hi, I'm Tim Smith and welcome to Jack Mountain Journal. This week we're going to be doing a little ice fishing, looking at some traditional winter tools, and having a good time on the lake. So check this out. I like to use the chisel to check the depth of the ice as we walk along. Make sure there's no springs underneath that make the ice super thin and weak. No one likes to fall through into the frozen lake. So we've got here two different tools for getting through the ice. This one here is an auger, and we'll show you how it works in a minute. And then the more traditional ice chisel. They used to make really good ice chisels for sale, but since they started coming out with augers, you almost have to fend for yourself in order to get one. This one here is an old carpenter's slick, or a woodworking chisel that we welded onto a piece of pipe and drilled a hole through it. The neat thing about that is I can carry the chisel head with me and not the pole, cut a pole wherever I am and use it, and then when I'm done with it, I just carry the chisel head back with me. So I don't have to carry around this big bulky thing everywhere I go. But we're going to cut a few holes and get some lines in the water. Big finish coming up. I've got a couple of pieces of equipment here that we use all the time when we're ice fishing. You've seen the chisel and the ice auger. This is our skimmer, our strainer, and what we do with this is we put it in the hole, and then we can pull out the chunks of ice that are floating just to get, so it's just water. Helps the line to go through a lot easier and to get the bait down. We've got our bait bucket. It's got some minnows in there, some shiners. This one's insulated. It's got a layer of styrofoam around the outside. And this is our tip up. Some people call them traps. And what it is just a device to hold the line, and it'll let you know when you get a strike. And I'll show you how that works. So what it does, there's 3 pieces of wood here, and it goes something like this. And these 2 cross pieces here are going to sit on top of the ice. This is going to dip down into the water. Whenever you're ice fishing, you always want your line holding apparatus to be under the water. That way ice isn't going to form on it, and it's not going to hold up. It'll spin freely. So what's going to happen is I'm going to put out my bait, and once it's out, we'll imagine that the bait is on the bottom. So then a fish comes along and takes the bait, and the reel starts to let line off, and when it does, look at that. Yeah, there that go. That flag will pop up like that. This one's a little old and beat up, so it doesn't necessarily come straight up, but good enough to see anyway. So I'm going to get this all rigged up and ready to go. As far as where do we want it, the warmest water in the lake right now is on the bottom. The densest fresh water gets is at about 39 and a little bit more than 39 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's the reason why the lake water flips over right now. So as it is now, the deeper you go, the warmer it gets. Obviously the water that I'm kneeling on right now is at 32 degrees Fahrenheit or freezing when it turns to ice. So the fish are going to want to be where the warmest water is, in a spot like this, away from an inlet or an outlet. So we're going to try to get our bait right down on the bottom. I've got about a 2.5, 3 foot leader, and then I've got a little piece of split shot, a little weight. So what I'm going to do is drop the weight down, and that's going to tell me exactly how deep it is. And then I'm going to mark that on the line. I've got a button on here that I'll use to mark that depth, and then I will pull the line up. I'll put a shiner on the hook and put the line back down, set up the tip up, or set up the flag, and then I know I'll be ready to go. All right, so now I know how deep I am, and I'm going to slide the button down. Yeah, so from the button down to the weight is a straight line because I can feel the weight as I jig it a bit. So I know that if I have the button at about water level, my weight's right on the bottom, which is where I want it. So now I'll pull in my line, bait it, set it out, and then get after doing it with another trap. So by now you may be thinking, how did people back in the day set up their ice fishing rigs if they didn't want to stand around and jig? Well, it's a good question, and I'm going to show you how. All you need is a stick to go across the hole, right? So what I'll do is just tie off a quick little clove hitch here on the stick that'll hold. And the reason I'm using this big heavy string, because if I was using fishing line, you'd never be able to see it. So we've got our hole dug. This is going to sit right in the hole. Imagine the hole is here, so it can't be pulled down through. So then I've got all this extra line. It would probably be longer. But what I'm going to want to do now is just show you what they would do. So what I'm going to do is find out, I want it to be down in the water because I know I don't want the knot or the string release mechanism to be around the top of the water level so that ice forms on it. But what I'm going to do is just take a few wraps around my hand, 3 or 4. I'm going to pass a knot through and through again. So what I've done is all I did was tie a slip knot. So imagine now you've got your hook and bait on this end of the string. The fish comes along and takes it. This whole thing releases, and he's got about 3 feet. And then when he gets to the end of that 3 feet, it's going to snap shut and set the hook. And he'll be on there when you come and get him. Beautiful yellow perch. Want fish fillets for dinner? You guys want to have a fish fry?
Bad boy. Yeah.
Well, today the fishing was great. The catching was so-so. Here's the catch of the day, a nice yellow perch. We're going to fillet it up and have a nice dinner. I want to thank my friend Shane Halunga for coming out today. Shane hails from Snow Lake, Manitoba. Great to have you out today, buddy.
Thank you very much, Tim.
So that's about it for this episode of Jack Mountain Journal. Come and check us out next time. We'll be doing something interesting. Bye-bye. Yeah. No, I came up with it because I was filming it by myself. Let me do it one more time.